So then I got into fixing and flipping, buying distressed properties.
Yep.
And it would be usually a 6-month turnaround. Around 2010, we decided, after the crash happened, we decided, we were buying homes very cheap because the market had crashed. And then we started to decide to hold on to them and rent them. We had a sort of a strategy of rentals.
Yeah.
You marry the home and you date the rate. At what point are you waiting? Real estate isn't like a stock where you look one day and you made $10, you look next day you lost $10, and it just goes. It doesn't fluctuate like that. Real estate doesn't do that.
Welcome to What Would It Cost Florida with your host Niels Decker and with our special guest Eric Zimelman. I'm looking forward to this episode. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Eric. Thank you for being on today. It's a pleasure to have you on, and some interesting stuff that we're going to dive into, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Really cool. And I think we're talking about 25 years of experience and some cool and interesting stories along the way on how that all unraveled. Where did it all start?
So I went to law school. I graduated in '94 here in Miami. When I was in law school, I had started a publishing company out of my college dorm room, and ended up doing some publishing for a while, college entertainment books. Yep. And I always wanted to get into real estate. I always thought about it, and actually fell into it sort of by accident. I was at my property and some lady was making noise right in front of my house, and I went out and I was like, "Can I help you?" And she said, "Yeah." She's like, "My brother just got arrested and the house is going to be condemned and I need to sell it. Do you know anyone who will buy it?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll buy it." And I had never done anything in real estate. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. And she said, "Well, how much would you pay?" I said, I don't know. We came to a price of like $120,000 for a lot.
Yeah.
And apparently it was a very good price, and she took it. And I ended up finding a developer in the area who has never worked with anybody before. He wouldn't work with anybody, but when I told him what I paid for it, he took his hand out and said, "Hi, partner."
Yeah.
So and we ended up building like 12 homes together, and then we started building townhomes together, and him and I had a great relationship building new homes and townhomes in Coconut Grove.
Got it. I was just going to say which area that was.
Coconut Grove. And the last house I built was my own home that I built 13 years ago. And I stopped doing new construction because it takes a long time. Yeah. By the time you find a property, get the plans, build it, it is a long time if you're doing quality stuff. So then I got into fixing and flipping, buying distressed properties. Yeah. And it would be usually a 6-month turnaround at max if you do it right. And so I got with a group of guys, and we ended up buying a lot of distressed properties for many, many years. And we would fix and flip. And then I think it was around 2010, we decided, after the crash happened, we decided, we were buying homes very cheap because the market had crashed. And then we started to decide to hold on to them and rent them.
Yep.
So we had a sort of a strategy of rentals.
Yeah. And when you say that group...
I'm just going to pause for a sec.
Sure.
I'm just going to lower this a tiny bit. Is it comfortable?
Yeah, it's fine.
And when you say group, we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
You're... The coined as the G7?
Yeah, we came up with the G. There were 7 of us, so we were Group 7, G7. It was before I knew what the real G7 was, but and so everyone had their part. One guy was, he handled inspections, he handled problems with the city. Someone else was a sales expert. Someone else was, legal. I did legal. Someone else did comping to figure out what the property was worth before we bought it. So everyone had their little part, and we worked together for years, all with a handshake, nothing in writing.
Yeah.
just 7 guys that trusted each other.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you know, when the market crashed, of course, you know, when things are bad, things sometimes don't stick together. But we all remained friends, all of us, over the
that's
years.
awesome.
And I ended up with one of them for 17 years after that. And then, you know, he sort of semi-retired,
Yeah.
and I ended up with his son. So now his son is my partner, keeping it in the family.
Very cool, yeah, because you
So-
also have gone beyond real estate as well.
Yeah. So, well, all within real estate, actually. It's
Right.
so I started, you know, a title company
Yeah.
a little over 15 years ago because we did so many transactions.
Yeah.
One of my partners was like, "Why don't you start a title company? You're an attorney. Let's keep it in house and let's keep, you know, things tight and you know, we'll know what's going on."
Yeah.
And so the title company has done very, very well. Elizabeth, who's in my office, she's my closer, and she does enough work that covers. She does what 4 people could do. She's amazing.
Very cool.
And then her husband also is in the office. He does mortgages, and he's great. His name's Frank. You know, he also
Yeah.
is the broker in my
Very
real
cool.
estate company. So we keep it tight and we
Yeah.
keep it, you know.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. And going back, I think what was some of the most interesting, because I continuously hear like that '08 line, what happened prior into real estate is completely different to what happened afterwards. Dodd-Frank Act, you know,
Sure,
all those
yeah.
type of timelines. What are some of the
Right.
what craziest story on closing or buying?
Wow. You know, we've before '08. What happened and what brought us to the crisis was, and I knew there was a problem when my lawn guy owned 3 houses.
Yeah.
Okay, he's cutting lawns for $30 a pop, and
Yeah.
he owns 3 homes. I said, "How'd you get it?" He goes, "I got a loan from a bank,"
Yeah.
and they were called liar loans because you could say you made $2 million, no one was checking on it, and they gave you loan. You know, just, and then of course, the market crashed,
Yeah.
and you know what happened, and then the Frank Dodd Act that you're talking about, they completely went where you could be a doctor, open heart surgeon making $700,000 a year, and you want to buy a second home, and they made it very difficult for you.
Yeah.
So because they say the pendulum never stays in the middle. You're either way crazy left, way crazy right. When I'm saying not politically left or right, which
Yeah.
actually
Which you
that
could
happens
you
too.
could argue
Yeah,
that
it does
too,
happen
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But I'm talking in our business
Yeah.
with giving loans or not giving loans.
Yeah.
It's never, you know, normalcy.
Yeah.
You're either giving away the farm
Yeah.
or, you know, you're not letting anyone buy anything.
Yeah.
So the Frank Dodd Act, you know, had some good parts to it, where the good parts is that we're not going to see, in my opinion, we're not going to see the same disaster that happened in '08, '09.
Yeah.
Because since that time, most people that have had loans were qualified, overqualified. So you're not going to have that crash, in my opinion, where, you're going to still have foreclosures and people who can't pay for, you know, whatever reason. But you're not going to have the lawn guy who had 3 or 4 houses, my painter who owns 5 houses.
Flush that out.
That's pretty much, I think that's gone.
Yeah.
They're saying that a lot of problems will come our way because a lot of people got the variable rate loans that were so low, and now they're going high. That will have some effect.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to have what we had
still
before.
think in that picture, because when we say low, you know, we're talking about 2-3%, and if they're climbing slowly, we're in now today as we shoot this podcast. Today's another rate announcement as well.
Right.
You know, we're climbing up to the 8, so it's like, well, that variable catch up. It might still need time, right?
Yeah. So true, and you know, a lot of people when they talk about real estate, and everyone loves to talk about generalities, right? You can't compare Oklahoma to Miami.
No.
Okay. In fact,
And almost Miami, not from other.
All right. Exactly. You can go in a certain part of Coconut Grove, which I know very well, and you go 4 or 5 blocks, and you're in a different market.
Yeah.
In the same street. Just go down 4, you know, so you really have to know what you're talking about in terms of values, but the interest rate for sure is an effect across the board. But again, in terms of Miami and South Florida, you can't compare South Florida and Miami because I'm a Miami guy, you can't compare to other parts of the country.
Yeah.
And everyone's coming here, as you know, people from California are coming here, New York, New Jersey, a lot of people are coming here because of the state, because of the tax benefits that you have, because of the weather, because of so many different factors. Politically, people, I hear a lot of people, my state's too blue, blah, 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 and they're coming here. And so many big businesses, I think JP Morgan is moving there, so many major money organizations are moving their headquarters and their people here. So even though you have, the interest rate's high, so you don't have 50 people looking at a house, now you have 20. You don't have, also there's such a shortage of inventory right now that also is, craziness.
Yeah.
So when people say, you got to be weary about the market, you have to be about your market and what you're looking at in your specific area. And when people are like, it's a bad time to buy, I'm like, show me the deal.
Yeah,
show me the deal and show me the numbers, and I'll tell you if it's bad or not to buy.
Yeah, I love that. And I think as well, what I hear around that as well is that it's tied to Florida is almost that one state on what happens in the rest of the states. It's also a different nature, considering the weather, now considering, let's say, politically that there's more favorable for some people. As you said, specifically big businesses. With big business comes more jobs. So there's more advantage. So you almost can also perhaps see its writing is on the wall, that I would say is you're climbing, plateauing. So, entering the market here, if you're still on the fence by entering or wherever you're at, consider what will it look in 5-10 years.
Correct.
That same place, what are you entering at? Put the rates aside for a minute.
Right.
Look at the price point of the home.
Right. Well, one of the sayings that I've heard, and I agree with, and it could be a sales saying, but you marry the home and you date the rate. So I don't know where I heard it, but I thought it was great. Because it's true. Like, at what point are you waiting? Real estate isn't like a stock where you look one day and you made $10. You look next day, you lost $10, and it just goes. It doesn't fluctuate like that. Real estate doesn't do that, and that's the main reason why I'm heavily invested, basically, in real estate. Because I like to touch what I own. I like to be able to take care of what I own. That's my stock. That's my investment. I don't like investing in something that I don't know. That's when I get hurt. I know real estate. I know with real estate you can mortgage it, you can rent it. Usually goes up in value. You just got to take care of it.
Like you used to. So there's all types of options.
And,
and that similar mindset we understand as well. And what I hear in as well that I appreciate is that you're mastering what you know. Right. And you're continuing to go deeper with what you know and add as you go more years of experience, right? So that's definitely something that's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to touch base on Coconut Grove, I've heard awesome things about, and now having seen that change and even that greater area of Miami. What was that changes? What were some things that you can speak on?
So Coconut Grove, I've always been a Grove person. So when I first moved down here to go to school at UM Law School, I ended up in an apartment in the Coconut Grove. It just so happened that that's where not that I mastered the area and that's where I needed to be. It just so happened I ended up in Coconut Grove in a fantastic older building that's now gone. It was... I think it was $800 a month for a 2-bedroom overlooking the water in the marina. It was fantastic. And the Coconut Grove was a great place to be. Coco Walk had Fat Tuesdays and all these bars and clubs, and it was the place to go. And it's so centrally located. 15 minutes you're at the beach, 15 minutes you're at the airport. It was downtown in 10 minutes. It was and it still is great location. And then what happened was Brickell came about, right? And Brickell started becoming like Manhattan, and it was becoming the place to go and hang out and be and what have you. And that's even closer to the airport and closer to South Beach. So Coconut Grove and the Center Grove started dying, and it was not the place to be at all. It was a great place to live, and it was a great little village and a great, you could walk everywhere if you lived in the center. But it wasn't the place to hang out anymore. It was Brickell, and then after Brickell came Wynwood. That became the next hot spot, whatever. And in the last, I'd say, 2 years, people started coming in and putting in high-end restaurants, started redeveloping. They knocked down Coco Walk. They built this beautiful modern Coco Walk with, I believe there's residents in there, but there's also offices, very modern. And they just started redeveloping the marina area and it started becoming the hot place again in Miami.
Yeah, very cool.
And I can tell you that I still own my house in Coconut Grove. I never sold it.
Yeah.
At the time I was trying to sell it, I couldn't give it away.
Yeah.
Okay. And since I moved out and rented it, it's doubled in price.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And doubled in rent.
And speaking to that longer vision and long-term game with real estate, and see what type of results that really gives, it's awesome. And I mean, as you mentioned as well, COVID kind of put the crank on the dial with what was going on for Miami as well. And I think not just even Brickell, but downtown. We talk about areas like Wynwood. And that's all separate from South Beach, because South Beach has always just kind of had its thing, and Miami Beach. But talk a bit about those changes, restaurants. You guys are involved with a project by 11 down there.
Yeah. So Liz at my office had told me that there was a new exciting project at downtown, which was the 11 Residence and Hotel.
Yeah.
And Club 11 is a gentleman's club, and it's shockingly, I think, number 3 in the world in terms of success clubs, number 1 in the United States. And they partnered up with PMG, which is a very solid builder. Yeah. They build in New York, Miami. They're one of the biggest builders. And they started off with one tower that is going to be a 5-star luxury residence and hotel. And it is going to have a sports book on the top floor. 5-star all the way. And I actually have friends of mine that are friendly with one of the owners, and Matt and Josh, they're on that TV show $1 Million Listing.
Yep.
You're aware of that show?
Yep.
So I used to change their diapers.
Okay.
We lived across the street from each other in Boston. We're still they're like my little brothers. And they have all the celebrity clients. They sell 50, 60, $70 million homes in LA. Yeah. And I called them up and I said, hey, listen, saw this presentation, saw this. They said, well, we bought 2 floors in there, and all of our celebrity clients have purchased in there. Don't be stupid. Buy it yesterday. Yeah. Get in. Yeah. And so we got in, and we were about 80 million in sales in that. Oh, wow. Then they started a second tower, sold out very quickly. It's a very exciting project. And then the third tower that they're doing is Airbnb and 11.
Okay.
So it's called West 11. And it is going to be the first Airbnb hotel in the world. They've never put their name on any building. This is the first one. Again, luxury. When people think Airbnb, they usually think like Motel 6 type stuff. Yeah. This is insane. Yeah. I mean, beautiful. So it's going to be a nice project.
And talking about direct access, glass cage.
So the Tower 1 will have direct access into and they're all sold out, by the way. They're gone. Yeah. Tower 2 sold out, gone. That's going to have a helipad on the top, and that will be connected to Tower 1. So Tower 2 will go to Tower 1, Tower 1 into the club. 11, the Airbnb tower, it's a couple blocks away. So even though you can't physically access it without going outside, they're all going to be tied together.
In proximity.
Yeah, and style and everything else.
Very cool. Yeah. And I see as well sporting the Gator socks.
Yeah, I got to support my kids' school.
Yeah, your kids. That's one of your kids.
So I have one kid. Yeah, I have my eldest he's actually doing his master's in real estate at UF.
Okay.
And his plan is to potentially go to law school and get involved in real estate, maybe follow in my footsteps. So he's up there, and actually he's interning this summer with PMG.
Okay.
So he's learning the ins and outs of what's going on there.
Yeah, very awesome to
Yeah.
be able to bring back your, to keep your family even with you and spend time together. How
Yeah.
beautiful that is.
Yeah, it's great. And then I have my middle one is at Stanford. He's going to be a senior this year,
Yeah.
and he's in New York working for Bank of America this summer. So
Very
he's doing that, and my daughter's going to be a senior in high school. So we'll see where now we have to go through that college experience
Where
again,
the
which is
path
not going to
goes.
be fun.
Yeah. That'll be a whole different experience.
Not going to be fun. Not a fun experience.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I want to, for the listeners that are listening, where can they
Sure.
find you online? Or
So they can just go to my website and find me there. It's www.easytitleservices.com, and that's E Edward Z Zebra,
Yeah.
my initials.
Yep.
Easytitleservices.com, and my phone number, I give everyone my cell. It's 305-788-7109, and anyone can call me. I answer my phone. If I'm awake, I answer my phone.
Amazing.
In real estate, you can't,
Yeah.
you can't shut your phone off.
Yeah, definitely. We know that as well on our
Yeah.
end. Awesome, and thank
Yeah.
you for being on today.
No, it
an
was a pleasure.
absolute-
This was fun.
Yeah, absolute
Good.
pleasure to speak about all things real estate and what you've been up to.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for being here today.
Yeah, anytime.
Awesome.
Anytime.
And those for the listeners, thank you for tuning in. This was another episode on What Would It Cost Florida. Until the next one.